Well, hello everyone and welcome to another video. I'm up bright and early this morning, so I thought I would bring you guys along with me while I play. I'm trying some new paper today. I'm using the Fabriano Artistico Extra White 100% cotton paper, 140 cold pressed, and this is a 9x12 watercolor block. And basically what that means is this paper is glued down on, kind of like they're all glued together on a block, and then you just here on the corner, when you're all finished your painting, you could stick a little palette knife in there or just kind of pull it and it peels away from the whole block there. So kind of saves you from having to tape your paper down on a gator board or something to keep it secure. So that's what I'm going to be using today, and I'm going to be just doing something really abstract-y and fun and not trying to think too much into it. And what I'm going to be using are my Mission Gold paints today by Magello, I think it's pronounced. But anyway, I have a whole bunch of them out here on my palette. I have like 2 palettes sitting here. And I just squirted out some fresh paint, and I have like yellow ochre. I have what is this one, permanent yellow deep. I put out some cerulean blue, some burnt sienna, sap green. So I don't know, I just thought I'd kind of do like a landscapey fun painting, and I'm going to be using a palette knife, yep, with watercolors. So we're just going to just play here, see what happens and see what we get. I'm not going to be overthinking it. I just want to kind of go in and just create something really abstract and fun and see what happens. So I'm going to take a little bit of paint right on my palette knife, right on my dry paper here, and just kind of put some paint down. Little burnt sienna here, and the little sap green action. And I don't care if I'm going to scratch into my paper and kind of create little indents in my paper, and what that does is kind of creates little crevices in the paper, which will allow your paint to kind of float inside there. This is so freeing when you just don't worry about what's happening and you just go and play. You don't try to think about it too much. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spritz this with a little bit of water. Bring those colors to life a little bit. Push it around. Create some tree-like shapes. See what happens. I'm going to take a little of my cerulean, a little bit of that in there. Spritz it again. Kind of tilt it up. And help it out a little bit. Let's just see what we get. Just bring you guys along for the ride. Tissue here. I'm really pressing kind of hard with this palette knife here. to really try to make some marks in my paper. You can also use an old card. Really scrape some texture in there. Just getting a little tired of being a little too controlled with my paintings. I like to just play and come up with some really cool designs. Because it really is all about just allowing yourself the freedom to explore and trying not to overthink it too much. So I'm just using my tissue here to kind of blot out, even making little leaf shapes. I'm going to take I have an oval, 3/4 inch oval brush by Silver Black Velvet. Love them. Go back in here with this. This is Permanent Yellow Deep, I can't remember. And just going to kind of go in and build up my layers. And see what happens. Get a little sap green in here. Yellow ochre. To my burnt sienna. Really love burnt sienna. It just adds a big punch to your paintings. Really, you just need to give yourself a permission just to be free and just paint and not to overthink anything. And just remember, it's just paper. If you don't like it, yeah, throw it out. Don't worry about it. Or not even throw it out. Keep it. Keep it, and always you can refer back. If you do a painting and you don't really like what you did when you're finished, I don't always keep everything I do, but a lot of times I do keep things, even if they are big flops, because I will go back and I learn from them. I look at them and I kind of will say, what was I thinking there? I don't know, but I think I could have improved this way or that way, or I did this different or that different. So it is good to kind of keep some of your paintings that you don't like to see how you can improve and do things differently. I'm going to go back to my palette knife and I'm going to add try and add some branch shapes, just with more of a chunky. I'm not thinking about this at all. I'm just letting this do its thing. green. And it's very unconventional to use a palette knife with watercolors, but why not? There are no rules. This will keep you from getting too stiff and rigid. And just enjoy the process. I'm going to spritz that a little bit. A little bit of water. Kind of help move it a little bit. Blend it out. Take a little bit of my cerulean blue. A little of that in there. I have a brush, it's called a dagger brush. It's got really long bristles on it, and when it's wet, it's real floppy. I like it. And it makes these really just fun little grassy, long line marks. You really can't control this. So that's why it's fun to use. Just let it go. Use my oval. Kind of just help spread it around a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit of my bright yellow I have on my palette. Put a little bit of that in there. So I'm just kind of strengthening that trunk shape. Just kind of building up my trunk a little bit. And as your painting's dry, then you can add more layers, or if you just want to, dry them with a hair dryer or heat gun or something, then it's harder to build your layers when your paper's wet, because it's just, your paint's just going to kind of blend and you're not really going to get that depth. So it kind of does help to let your layers dry a bit, go back in then once it's dry, and add more of your layers to build up some dimension and some depth. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of let this dry a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and add more layers on top. Okay, my paper is dry, and I'm going to just work now a little bit and building up a little bit of these layers. So I'm going to use a different brush now. I'm going to use my number 8 round brush, and I'm going to put a little bit, kind of get some darker values down in here. Mix a little bit of my burnt sienna along with my cerulean. Just kind of give it a little mound there. I didn't want it like straight across. Just kind of represent, maybe there's some bushes or something there. Kind of building things up. I'm very intuitive when I paint like this. I just kind of, look at it, and where I feel I need to add things, more paint, more color, I do. So it's just a feeling. It's just an intuitive nature feeling. I don't know how else to describe it, but I like to just kind of let the painting kind of guide me in a sense. Don't let it intimidate me. I don't let the fear of my white paper intimidate me. I just jump right in. And if it doesn't turn out, no biggie. And that's honestly how I feel. Definitely has like a marshy feel. I'm going to take a little bit of my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof Whites. Love it. Kind of just create some little highlights here and there. Paper's wet and it's going to kind of blend right out. Again, I know no preconceived design or picture here. I'm just kind of playing. I'm just letting myself play and have fun and not overthink it. Alright, I think I'm going to stop here before I get a little too carried away. So yeah, I'm going to just let this dry, see how it looks when it's dry. And I just want to thank you for coming along with me today. Kind of a hot mess, but I like it. I like the colors definitely and the marshy feel about it. And you know, if you like my channel here, if you could share it, that would be awesome. And subscribe if this is your first time here. I do way more definitely more controlled type paintings than this. This was just something fun today that I just felt like playing around, and especially with this new block and seeing what happens. So I do have a Patreon channel if you would consider subscribing to that. It's only $7 a month. And there I have tutorials with complete in-depth detail on how I'm doing the painting and explaining every step of the way, along with the materials list is included and all the good stuff. So anyway, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask. No question is ever a dumb question. I'm always available. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you later.